Bebe and hit record on this Bebe. So, okay, I think we're good. I think we are live. I am today at That Blonde Girls podcast. We are recording on multiple devices. I am currently live on YouTube if you guys want to check that out in the future. I think I may do this a few more times if it goes smoothly and if it works out. We're gonna do this more frequently. I'm also recording for the YouTube version of this. I'm recording on my phone, so that video will be posted on Friday if you guys want to check that out, and the audio will be available later on tonight on iTunes and SoundCloud if it works for me, because SoundCloud's been a little bit funny for me the last couple days. Anyways, so I figured tonight I would do something a little different. I have a little bit of a setup here next to me, which you kind of get on the camera version up here, not necessarily here, but I have a couple of glasses ready to go, proper glasses. I got some ice ready and a glass of water and my like mystery box of booze to my right, and or possibly, depending on which way you're seeing this, your left, but my right. This evening after work, I went to LCBO and I got a couple bottles of whiskey and bourbon. I was really disappointed, mostly because I went to my favorite LCBO. Generally, they have a really great selection of different kinds and they have great rare ones. They also have, what's it called? They just have a better selection, I find, than a lot of the ones I've gone to downtown Toronto. So I was really disappointed. For whatever reason, they were kind of picked dry, and it isn't the first LCBO that I've had issues with recently with finding that. And I asked a couple of the people that work there, and they were saying that for whatever reason, apparently whiskey and bourbon is now the new hot thing to drink, which isn't great for me because that means a lot of people are picking through like my favorite section and is leaving less available for me. So that kind of sucks, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I think I picked out 3 decent options that are going to be interesting. I'm interested in tasting them. I did want to get a bottle of Blanton's, I think that's how it's pronounced. Unfortunately, I've had it before, but I don't have it in my collection, and I really did want to add it to my collection tonight, but unfortunately they were sold out, which is just really sucks, to be completely honest, but it is what it is. The reason I ended up picking up something else in its place, and I think the nice thing is that Blanton's, yes, it's a name that everybody knows. It's a brand that everybody knows of. It's the little round glass ball with the little man on the horse on top. And it's a fairly common whiskey. It's easy to find. A lot of places have it on their menus. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, I could not find it tonight. So I ended up picking something else out that was a little bit higher priced to replace the Blanton's, but here we are. I hope all of you have grabbed a drink. I'm really excited to be doing this. I've wanted to do a video of a whiskey tasting since I did my whiskey and bourbon collection video. A lot of people responded to that video well. I had a lot of fun doing it, except I didn't get to do it in the longer format that I've always wanted to do, so this is kind of going to be that experience for you all. I have pulled up the websites for each one of these bottles. If you were watching live since the beginning, me rambling to myself, I was pulling them up a little bit ago to have that ready as I've started to record, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of the research for you guys, if not all the research for you guys. I'm going to be doing the tasting. Yes, I do have preferences, and yes, I kind of stuck to those this time around, just because I didn't want to spend like $200 on booze that I wasn't going to enjoy, even though this weekend I am going to my best friend's birthday, so I'm thinking, worst case, girlfriend, don't hate me, but if worst case, if none of these whiskeys or bourbons I like, I will bring them and have it to share with everybody. It's not going to be her birthday present. Don't even start that. I'm going to just bring the bottles. If I don't like them, I'm just going to bring them with me and kind of share with everybody that for the afternoon. So let's get started. So As I mentioned on Instagram, if you're following me on any 3 of my pages, my personal page is Carolyn underscore W3. My reviews page mostly for just a bunch of reviewing, and for YouTube is reviews by the blonde, and of course the page for the podcast is That Blonde Girls Podcast. I already uploaded little video clips into my story to let you guys know that what I decided to do for this video is I got whiskey and bourbon. I got a expensive bottle, a mid-range bottle, and a cheaper / inexpensive bottle. So we kind of got a full range of what you would get for your price points. I have, again, it's all sitting in here. I am so glad. This is actually only the second time I've walked into an LCBO and have walked out with a box. Generally, if I'm walking out with one of these, I have spent quite a bit of money. So that's what this box represents. I think it's time to pull out these bottles. It's appropriate time. So there's this guy, there is this guy, and then there is this guy, which is kind of cute because I didn't even realize, it's kind of funny, I didn't even realize that they are all about the same body shape, they just get significantly smaller, which is just a little bit funny to me, I think. So I'm just gonna tilt the live view down a little bit and bring y'all back up. So I got a full range, and I have placed them from lower to from more expensive to least expensive. The least expensive bottle I have purchased was Old Forester. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. I am a bourbon girl. I have learned that I prefer my bourbons over whiskey. This is a bourbon whiskey, which I just realized, to be honest, right now. It was so busy at the store, and I was trying to get help, and I was trying to get, advice / I wanted to pick the brains of one of the staff there because they're actually incredibly knowledgeable and fun to talk to. But there was, I think, like one person running around the entire store, and then everybody else was actually at the cash register, so I didn't really get maybe the customer service that I would normally get, which kind of sucked, but it is what it is. Here's what we have. Hopefully, we got a winner somewhere here. Now, the second price, okay, so I think this bottle was $33 if I'm not mistaken. So your Old Forester is going to be around 33 Canadian dollars. Dull hairs. Now the West Cork, it is a blended Irish whiskey. If I am going to be drinking whiskey, 9 times out of 10, it is going to be an Irish whiskey. I am a huge Irish whiskey drinker. I love my Irish whiskey. That's basically all I drink. I have tried, of course, whiskey from all over the world, or at least I've tried it from a bunch of places, that's for sure, but for some reason, something about the Irish whiskey is something that I always go back to, so here we are. Now for our last and most expensive bottle, this guy was about, I think it was $55 if I'm not mistaken. I think it was around that price point. So there is your mid-range price. Now, moving on to the most expensive bottle of booze that we have on the table right now. It is an American whiskey. It is called Redwood Empire. Now, immediately the first thing I noticed about this was the label, and the label literally looks like something from American Horror Story, so I don't know if that was intentional on their part or not, but this bottle was the most expensive out of the 3. It was around $78 if I'm not mistaken. I think it was that much. It is an American whiskey. I will dive more into how it's made, what it's made out of, and what it tastes like momentarily. But yeah, these are our 3 options. We have 2 Americans and an Irishman at the table with us tonight. So let's see what happens. I'm going to grab a sip of water. Appropriately, I'm obviously going to drink water in between all of these guys so we get a fair taste of each. I'm going to put a fair amount of ice, hopefully if my ice doesn't melt before I actually get a chance to taste all this. Hello, what's good? You know what? Everything's good. I've got 3 bottles of booze sitting on my table. That's what's great right now. We're going to try the 2 Americans and the Irishman here with us. I'm really excited. Again, as I mentioned, I will be drinking water in between so we get a good taste of everything. We will be reading into each one online because I definitely am interested in what each one is going to taste like and how it's made and what it's made out of, because a bunch of these have a bunch of different blends going on to them. So I'm just gonna move these 2 guys aside here and have the bottles aside. I think it would be ideal to start with the most inexpensive tonight. I think that's a fair choice. I'm surprised, to be honest. This is one of those bottles I think is going to surprise me the most. The Old Forester. I'm gonna bring him up nice and close for the viewers up here and the viewers down here. This bottle, I actually was quite impressed by the design. I thought the raised font, the raised labeling, the colors, the print job, the colors overall in the bottle were really interesting. I mean, I'm not a fan of this sticker that they probably had to slap on because they didn't put the amount and they probably they have it on the back. Why would you have to slap it on the front? Maybe that's something legally they have to put it on there. I don't know, but that's silly. I'm not a fan of that sticker, but it says 86 proof. So this guy is hella strong, but I am overall pretty impressed with this label. I honestly picked it up and expected this one to be the more expensive out of all the ones I chose, but it ended up being the cheapest, and it is $33, or around that ballpark, once you add in tax. But Old Forester is the first bottled bourbon. Oh, didn't know that. 1870. This whiskey is distilled by us only, and we are responsible for its richness and fine quality. Its elegant flavor is solely due to the original fineness developed with care. There is nothing better in the market. I think that's a little cheesy to put that on there. And in the market, I think it should be on the market, by the way. Anyways, nearly 150 years ago, my great-great-grandfather, George Garvin Brown, was the first to seal his bourbon in a glass bottle, ensuring consistency and exceptional quality. He felt so strongly in his conviction that he signed his name to it. Today, I am proud to add my signature as proof that our commitment to the Old Forester legacy lives on. So, I mean, that's a beautiful story. It's awesome that a lot of these companies are family owned and family passed down. That is something that definitely adds to the story. And for me, when I see something like that, for me, what that tells me is that the quality and consistency is there or will always be seriously considered and cared for, versus a new company who's just trying to get something on the market, who's, popping off because, whiskey and bourbon is the new cool thing. Everybody's drinking it. Everybody wants their hands on it. So they have created a company and a process that, tries to bottle something quick and easy and tries to replicate something like this. I don't know if this is any good, so I may be talking it up a little too much at this point, but I am ready to open this guy and see what it smells like. So my first realization, obviously it's really simple to open. It's a screw cap. I prefer a cork topper, not like wine and not like champagne, but generally whiskey bottles like the Redwood here have a partial cork topper, and I find the reason I like to open it with a cork is because the cork tends to absorb a lot of the smell and the taste and the flavors and the aromas, so I like to actually smell the cork as I open it, because I don't know, it tells me something. It makes it interesting. It makes me realize whether it's going to be an interesting night or not. So the metal cap I'm not necessarily fond of, but it makes it real easy to close. So cheers to that. So, okay, so right off the bat, this guy smells of caramel. It's not something that's punching me in the face, which I appreciate. And for 86 proof, I'm pretty impressed. So it's 86 proof and 43% alcohol. Nice. All right. So this is going to definitely make your night interesting. It definitely smells really nice. So I'm going to try this without ice, and then I'm going to try it with ice, mostly because I like to have ice in my whiskey and my bourbon. I am not a fan of warm alcohol. It's just not, it's not my thing. So I'm just going to pour a little bit. It definitely has a very smooth smell to it. I know it's smooth taste. That's usually how it's referred to, but the smell is actually quite nice. And yes, I ate quite a bit before this podcast, so we are not going to get shit-faced tonight. It's about tasting. This is a taste test, and I want you all to enjoy this taste test in case that maybe you'd be interested in picking up one of these bottles. So no getting drunk tonight. This is not what's going to happen. All right, so okay, so this guy, the Old Forester, definitely has a burning and kick after effect, but it's not as quick as some really bad whiskeys and bourbons I've tried in the past, and I feel like I'm going to say whiskey and bourbon a lot tonight in this podcast, so I apologize ahead of time. It may get really annoying, but yeah, the burning sensation doesn't hit you as quickly, which I feel like means that maybe they've burnt off, maybe, or it's the alcohol, like that burning alcohol feeling isn't there right off the bat. It's a little bit after, and I'm feeling the tingling in the back of my throat. Overall, the taste, I'm not mad at it, but I do want to put ice in it because, again, I hate warm liquor. I don't like warm alcohol. I've drank whiskeys and bourbons and really good quality ones, neat, still don't like it. And I haven't, for some crazy reason. So I guess the first thing I should have mentioned, I spoke a lot about this in my video that I had done a while back talking about whiskeys and bourbon and my collection that I had, and now these three are going to be joining in that collection. I talked about this in that video, that my choice of alcohol, especially when I go out, has been a bourbon or a whiskey for a really long time. It's been 4 years. This is not something I just picked up now. So for any of you who think that, I'm just joining some sort of fad, or that, I'm pulling this shit out of my ass, it's not the case. I've been drinking specifically whiskey and bourbon for at least, I would say easily at least 5 years at this point. I feel like it's really hard. I have only had whiskey and or bourbon ruined for me once at a restaurant. And I can share that story later on with you all if any of you are interested, any of you in the live are interested in hearing that story. Because I find that a lot of the cocktails and the cocktail industry in Toronto, though some places are good, yes, actually a lot of places are really good, a lot of places are also really bad and overcharge you for minimal amounts of alcohol and cocktails that taste of garbage. They're either sugary or taste of just like straight up just alcohol. They don't taste like they're properly mixed. They're not worth the $20 that you're spending is what I'm trying to get at. So I feel like if I'm going to be spending $15 on a drink, at least pour me, 2 to 3 ounces of whiskey or bourbon of a high quality, throw no more than 3 ice cubes in, and I'll be just fine. That is my choice of drink. You can't really mess that up. And I initially started asking for, let's say, a bourbon on the rocks, and they would bring me an entire glass filled with ice. No depth of flavor. To what? What are you referring to, friend? Generally, I would ask for that, like a bourbon on the rocks, but they would put so much ice that by the time I'd actually finish it, it would completely melt and it would water down whatever I had left in my glass. And I'm a sipper. Like, I am past the point in my life, I feel like, not to say I will never get shit-faced ever again, or I will never, not go out with the intentions of getting drunk, but I'm kind of feel like at this point in my life, I'm a little bit past that point. So, I generally like to sit and enjoy my bourbon, like I enjoy a glass of wine. I want to sit there, I want to sip it, I don't want to chug my entire glass of wine. So that is how I find, you know, my drinks, and that is what I generally tend to order when I go out. And I found, since they were filling the glass completely full of ice, I had to get even more picky about how I ordered my drinks. So I went from, you know, bourbon on the rocks to, you know, ex-bourbon with no more than 3 ice cubes. And now I've even gone as far as being that butthole and being like, hey, can I just have a glass of ice on the side, because I will put in the ice as I so choose. So that is standard whiskey. Yes, I agree. You know what? And that's what I feel like a lot of companies who are trying to join the market. I had somebody mention on live saying that standard whiskey has no depth of flavor. Generally what tends to happen is, again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, a lot of the companies are coming hot out of the gate. They either mass produce just because they want to make that money. There are I would say so far actually, that's not true. I have had a lot of good whiskeys and bourbons that taste really good, but I feel like the ones that taste really good are the ones that have genuinely put many, many decades into the process and genuinely care about the kind of work that goes into this bottle. It's not just, you know, throw it in the bottle, slap on a label, and make the name famous, as I find with, let's say, Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels is not my go-to. It is not my favorite. I find it completely watered down. I don't find it worth the money for me. It is not my go-to, not even for a cheap bottle. I would rather go Jameson. It's going to, you know, give me what I need, rather than Jack Daniels. So, all right, vodka beats gin and tonic any day, hands down. Yeah, I mean, depending on what your flavor, whatever you feel, whatever you like. Yeah, I can agree. I haven't drank vodka in a very, very long time. Actually, no, that's a lie. Not too long ago, I had a martini. Anyways. Old Forester. I'm not mad at it. You know what? I would definitely, as far as the Old Forester, I would probably recommend or compare this to a Jameson. I feel it's got that same kick that you would find in a Jameson. It's got a nice flavor to it. It is smooth. It smells caramelly. There's no crazy amounts of spice, which for me, I do not like spice in my booze. I just don't. I don't like spice in my wine. I don't like spice in my bourbon or my whiskey. I have yet to, I can't think of a single whiskey or bourbon that I've had that has a good amount of spice mixed into it that I've actually enjoyed, unless I'm wrong and going crazy and I'm forgetting somebody. I don't think I am. But as of right now, I am not a fan of spice in my liquors or my boozes. It's just not, it makes me feel sick and it unsettles my stomach, and it is just something I avoid at all costs. So putting this guy aside, putting Old Forester aside, I'm just going to pull up the website quickly and see if there's anything interesting else interesting. So this is the 86 proof. I'm gonna click on it and pull it up and check it out. Classic 86 proof. Yes, we already got that. Accolades. So the last big award it received was 2018 American Whiskey Masters Silver Medal Bourbon Premium. Aroma, sharp and sweet, with a strong floral character, with hints of mint, rich tobacco leaf, and vanilla. A touch of oak and pine provides a strong underpinning. So I would say that I'm getting the vanilla. I am not getting the floral. I am not getting the mint. I am definitely getting the oak and the vanilla, and more of the tobacco-y, that like smoky flavor, that I'm getting. The floral, don't know where they're coming from with that. I'm not tasting any of that. Taste, sharp at first but softens quickly. I think it's actually switched. It's soft at first and then sharpens, with hints of oak and sweet, corn, rye, grain characters, spicy, with soft vanilla and light orange notes. I'm not getting the orange. The spice, I think I'm getting a little bit. The vanilla, again, not really getting that either, but I would definitely say I'm getting the caramelly smell and taste, so maybe the vanilla is what's creating that smell and that taste with the oak. But I would definitely say that I'm not getting any of the floral hints, and I would definitely say it's soft at first and then sharpens. So whatever they're saying about that, I think they've got it maybe mixed a little bit. But overall, again, for a $30 bottle of whiskey from Kentucky, I would say that this isn't the worst option out there. I would say that this is easily comparable to a Jack Daniel, or not Jack Daniels, to a Jameson. I think if I was ever in an LCBO or ever in a situation where they ran out of Jameson, I would get the Old Forester. Not the worst. Labeling's great. Again, wouldn't be my first choice though. This is okay. This is one of those whiskeys that you could easily have a very sloppy night with and keep drinking, and you could probably mix it with, I've heard of a cocktail that you can make with whiskey and ginger ale. I've never had that yet. I'm very tempted, but at the same time, I feel like that's getting to dangerous territory. I feel like the ginger ale is probably not going to slow things down for me. It's going to be able to make me be able to drink a lot more of whatever else is added into that. So I like to tread that territory just lightly. So Old Forester, I would say maybe out of 10. Out of 10, I would say I'd probably give it about a 6. It's not the worst thing I've had. It's definitely gonna pack a punch after, like a moment or two after you've, take a couple sips of it. It definitely tastes pretty good as far as I'm tasting. So maybe this is the first the first bourbon that I'm having that is actually spiced and that I actually enjoy. This one I would be more so okay with the idea of mixing it with something, just because it's got a little bit of that punch, and I'm not necessarily a fan of being punched in the face by my alcohol. Again, I like to sit there and sip it. But yeah, I think that's it. That's all I gotta say. Nice bottle. It's got some nice weight to it. But yeah, that's Old Forester. Thanks for having us, Kentucky. Moving on. So again, that was our most inexpensive bottle. Moving on to our mid-range bottle, West Cork. West Cork is a blended Irish whiskey. It is 62% alcohol, a limited release of Irish whiskey, uncut and bottled straight from the cask. So there are multiple reasons that I love Irish whiskey, and as I mentioned earlier, generally when I go for a whiskey, it tends to be Irish. I don't know what it is. I am an Irish girl, Irish lover of, a girl of Irish whiskey. I'm a huge lover of it. I don't know what it is. I think the reason I like it so much is generally it tends to be smoother. It tends to come from cask, from copper cask, which I find gives it that smoother taste. I feel with oak, it tends to, because it holds on to a lot of the flavors of whatever was in it before, it really can create that punch. I may be wrong. For any of the whiskey and bourbon professionals and, real connoisseurs, let me know if I'm wrong, be polite about it, but I feel like that's generally the case with maybe the oak cask or any of the barrels that they use. It tends to hold on to a lot more of that flavor, so you're going to get a lot more of a punch factor with something coming out of a barrel rather than something coming out of a cask. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Another thing that I like to see on a label, and generally why I like to spend a little bit more on something that says limited edition. I'm always a fan of limited edition. Another reason, it's not only because I now have a bottle that may never be on the shelf ever again. I feel like something that's made in lesser or smaller batches is going to, again, there's more attention to the flavors, to the quality, to what is being put in the bottle, rather than getting hundreds and thousands of bottles, if not millions of bottles out there for the masses. I don't want something that the masses are gonna have. I want to get my hands on something that maybe me and a handful of other people are going to have. Mostly because, again, that attention to flavor and detail is put into this bottle. So again, I think this bottle, if I'm not mistaken, was about $55. So not outrageous, but definitely would make a nice present, or would be something for a special occasion. I am also incredibly drawn to the label. I will show you all live here. It is a really nice light color, as somebody just noticed and mentioned on live. I think I realized that I'm also a bigger fan of things that are like a blonder color when it comes to the good old whiskeys and the bourbons out there. But that label, that attention to detail, my camera isn't going to be picking it up on my computer, but it may on the video that I'll be posting onto YouTube tomorrow. The paper and the label on the front is textured. It's got it's like half a map on the bottom, which I think is beautiful. It's got some signatures on here, 60%, 62% alcohol. It's got a beautiful seal. The colors, the detail, the gold underlying the like navy, dark blue navy font is beautiful, handcrafted in Ireland. I don't know, there's attention to this detail, which I appreciate. Along with the opener, I don't know, I'm guessing this is going to be a cork, and I see a cork. It is a Cork Topper, which I mentioned with the Old Forester it didn't have. Again, I'm a fan of that cork because I can take it out of the bottle, smell it, and it's going to tell me quite a bit, quite a lot about whatever is bottled inside, because that cork has basically been sitting in there for as long as this has been bottled. So that cork on the inside is telling me everything I need to know. The way it's sealed on top, it is sealed with this beautiful, I don't know what it would be called, beyond just a seal, sealed with the seal. It says Cask Collection, and on top it says, let's see, Cask Collection Limited Release Cask Strength. It is beautiful. There's like, before I rip this off, I want to get a quick snapshot of that. It's got like 2 fish on it, which I think is, I don't know if my camera's gonna focus on that, but focus, you're gonna focus on it? If not, I'm gonna maybe try and save it so I can take a snapshot of it, show you guys. It has 2 beautiful fish underneath where it says Cask Collection and Limited Edition. That, again, is attention to detail that I appreciate. If I'm gonna spend $55, $70, $100, $300 on a bottle of something, I want attention like that to be, I want attention to be given like that onto the labels and the bottling. So, that's interesting. There's just like, please drink responsibly label on the back of it, which is weird. I've never seen that before, and it's a UK thing. Interesting. Alrighty, let's see what it says. West Cork, Cask Collection Blended Irish Whiskey, Cask Strength. West Cork Cask Strength is a limited release crafted by Barry Walsh and Frank McHardy, 2 icons of Irish whiskey. Grain and malt Irish whiskeys are blended and allowed to marry in bourbon barrels to deliver a splendid cask strength release. So I'm really curious to see what it's going to taste like. It didn't really tell me, and I don't even think that the LCBO label told me really what it was going to taste like or what it was going to smell of or any of that. So I'm really curious to see what it's going to taste like and what it's going to smell of. I am going to carefully peel this seal that's on top of the bottle because I really do want to take a photo of it, and I'll be posting it on YouTube. So if you are posting it on Instagram, so if you guys want to check out the detail from this label, I will do like close-ups of each one of these bottles. So if you guys forget what the name is or any of that, again, all that information will be posted on each one of my profiles. I will do a different kind of post for each profile, so feel free to check out. And there's nothing special underneath the seal, it's just a seal. There's an easy tab. Okay, there's still morons blowing up fireworks in my neighborhood, so sorry if you guys can hear any noise in the background. let's peel that off. You know what? I do have to appreciate, my boyfriend did mention that recently he bought a bottle of booze that had the stupid like wax sealing on it, and it made it almost impossible to open. So I'm really grateful that these, you know, companies are still sticking with some sort of like papery sealing. And of course now I can't get the rest of it off. Come on. I have to bust in. I should have brought my knife out. Come on. I am struggling to open the bottle. Alright. Blade it is. Luckily I have an X-Acto knife on hand. Ugh. Son of a bitch. Alright. It is off. Haha! I was correct! There is a cork topper. Now I'm gonna have a sip of water. Water sounds for all of you listening via the podcast. I apologize for any mouth sounds that, you know, are not welcomed. Now I'm gonna pop this cork off, and I'm really excited to smell this cork. So I wonder how long this has been in here for, or how long it's been aged for, because they don't say that. All right, the cork is off. Oh, that's disappointing. It's not even a real cork. It's like a rubber topper. So yeah, this doesn't really smell of anything. Oh, that's disappointing. I thought it was a cork topper. Oh well, that doesn't tell me anything. Now, first initial smells. Wow. See, the difference between cask smells is that there's barely any smell. That or my nose is broken. One or the other. And no, don't make any weird illicit jokes about me, you know, shoving things up my nose. There's nothing ever been shoved up my nose, so there's none of that. But I'm not getting any strong smells, which again, I feel like comes with the territory of anything in copper cask or casks in general. So I have a clean glass. We're gonna pour a few drips into it. I wanna have it neat. Oh, all right, there it is. Wow. I just poured some into the glass. Oh my goodness. This is gonna, okay, good old Irish. You can count on an Irishman to punch you in the face, that's for sure. Oh my God, I'm scared to drink this. Mostly because now pouring it out of the bottle, it is hella strong. What is this, 62? This is only 62 proof, where the other one was, what, 86? And this is punching me in the face? Good Lord. All right, let's get a taste of what devil is hiding in this bottle. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Oh my God. That is Irish strong. Good Lord. Okay, I need ice. Whew. That is so strong. I can't even believe how strong that is. That is crazy. I'm gonna put a little bit of the melted, I'm gonna put a little bit water and a few cubes of ice in here, because that just punched me in the face. That is crazy. I'm just gonna pour a little bit more in here. Oh my God. This, whatever demon was bottled in this bottle, it is strong. If you guys are looking for something that definitely has a kick to it, that is definitely this West Cork from Ireland. Sweet baby Jesus. I can feel immediately, my chest is warming already. Like, the inside of my chest is on fire. I will not be sick for a long while after having this drink. See? Okay, that's drinkable. Now I put like 2 melted ice cubes in this, and just the tiniest splash of water, and this is now drinkable. Yep. It's still a little punchy. Ugh. I'm still feeling it warming. It is still definitely warming the inside of my throat and my lungs. Sweet baby Jesus, what? Since when did this stuff become so vicious? God, I feel like I picked some seriously strong bottles of booze and I didn't even mean to. But hey, I mean, this stuff is cast strength. Okay, I'm just pulling up the web page, and I will, of course, if you are watching me via YouTube on Friday, if you're checking this out on iTunes, I will leave the links in the description box, the boxes down below for each one of these websites if you guys want to check out each one of these bottles and the different kinds of whiskeys and bourbons I purchased tonight. You'll be able to click through and check it out there. Okay, so I've just pulled up the West Cork bottle profile on their website, and it is cast strength, 62% alcohol, 124 proof, and oh my god, I am definitely feeling that 124 proof. It is definitely 124 proof. I am not surprised by that. Is a blended Irish whiskey containing 66% grain Irish whiskey and 33% malt Irish whiskey. Patiently matured. I'm already sounding like I'm drunk and I'm not even tipsy yet. Patiently matured in first full bourbon and then polished matured exhausted Irish whiskey casks to allow marry of a further 6 months. This marrying process allows the malt and the grain whiskeys further mature and interact to produce a cast strength released in unique smoothness. I don't know where the heck they're getting smoothness from. Oh, okay, that's why I'm not liking it, because it's another malt, floral, and spiciness aroma. I'm not getting the aroma, I'm just getting punched in the face. Spiritus but very smooth, floral and yet sweet yet spicy. I'm not getting the sweetness. No, you know what? It opens up if you put some ice in it and put a splash. Okay, so with this one, with the West Cork, I would highly recommend giving it a splash of cold water and maybe 1 or 2 pieces of ice, just ice cubes, because I feel like it definitely mellows it out just a little. It gives it, the right out of a bottle is almost not even fair because it's going to punch you in the face, but yeah, I feel like with a little bit of ice and a little bit of water, it definitely opens it up more, and I'm definitely getting more of the sweetness and the smoothness. Definitely getting a little bit of that spice, which I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't know what it is, but it's just like, I'm just not a fan of the spice. It's just not for me. But I do feel like this is a bottle I may hold on to just because of the fact that it's a limited edition and it's something that I could pull out in the future, you know, with guests or something. But overall, I mean, for $55, could I have picked a different or better bottle for $55? I think it's definitely unique enough. I think that you're getting the quality in the bottling and the labels. I think for what you're getting inside of this, for a unique limited release, I think the $55 is fair. I think that this is a very unique flavor, even though I feel like it punched me in the face. I do feel like it is unique. I have been punched in the face by other whiskeys and bourbons, and what I mean by that is that it has such a strong alcohol burning and taste to it right off the bat that you can't really enjoy anything else about it. That's why I like to have ice with my drinks, just because it helps to mellow it out just a little bit more, and it makes it actually drinkable. In some cases like this one where it's 124 proof, I think that's a little bit crazy. I think that these kinds of alcohols do need to have a little bit of some sort of a mellowing factor, so whether it's water or ice, I do generally recommend putting a little bit in, because then you're gonna actually be able to sit and enjoy what's in the bottle rather than just like sour facing the whole thing. And I think I would be able to enjoy this in the future, so I'm not gonna get rid of it. I'm not gonna give it away. This is one I'm gonna keep, that's for sure. And yeah, I do think that the West Cork from Ireland is worth it. I think it is worth the $55. I think this is something that you're not going to find all the time. So I think if you're looking for something that's incredibly strong, something with a very unique flavor, and something that you're not going to find everywhere, this is definitely worth picking up. if you do see it. Now, there is somebody on live saying that they have a question, okay? If you have a question, you can ask me a question if it's appropriate, and if you're not going to be rude, I will happily ask a question, so ask away. You can ask that question as I move on to the third bottle that we have, which is our last bottle. I believe this was either $77 or $87. This is the Redwood Empire. Now, I think I mentioned this in the live just before I started recording on everything else. I feel like the first thing that I immediately noticed about this bottle is the labeling, and the reason is they used the, what is it? Oh, now I forgot. Oh, the American Horror Story font. So I'm just gonna show you all on live here. So there is the writing, there's the labeling. I'm going to show you here, guys, on the second camera up here, Redwood Empire. I do have to say it's a very unique font, but that is all I'm thinking. I feel like this is just like some American Horror Story choice. It's definitely more of a red color. It's definitely more like, it definitely looks like it's got a little bit more punch. And this, I'm just gonna compare the two. Like, this is blonde, and this is the blonde head, and this is definitely the red head of the group, which I'm curious to see what it's gonna be like and see what it's going to taste like. So our Redwood Empire American whiskey. Select lots of 11, 5, and 4-year-old bourbon blended with 3- and 2-year-old rye. Ultra smooth with unrivaled complexity and character. Batch 02. Damn, I got the second batch. I'm okay with that. 7/18/2018. Barreled aged in Sonoma County, California. That's a little funny. The reason I say that's a little funny is because generally, when you think whiskeys and bourbons, you think like Kentucky, you think, I don't know, Texas. California is not generally the first thought that comes to mind. So, American Horror Story. Let me just open up this webpage a little bit wider. I want to see. I'm not getting the whole chat on here. I'm not getting the whole video. Oh, do I have to just do this? Aha! American Horror Story, don't hold back. You know what, and I've never watched American Horror Story. So, there's that. Alrighty. Let's see what the back says. We established Redwood Empire with a commitment to craft distinctive American whiskeys, inspired by the rugged landscape of our Northern California home. Our proprietary blend of rye and bourbon whiskeys includes select barrels of house distilled rye. It is cellared, aged in new American oak with a portion rested in wine and port barrels to create an ultra smooth American whiskey with notes of honey, vanilla, and caramel. That was really what got me excited, was the notes of honey and vanilla and caramel. To be quite honest, I didn't even read the entire back label of this while I was looking at it at the store because the front label distracted me so much. But honestly, this sounds so enticing, and it definitely sounds incredibly exciting for what it is, as far as the description goes on the back. So I would say, as far as the overall bottle, it definitely almost reminds me of a bottle of wine, to be completely honest. The way it's labeled and everything, and even the way they described it, the way they've printed it, it reminds me of like a bottle of wine, which again, it's coming out of California. Whoever you hired for your marketing and your labeling did a pretty okay job, but this reminds me of a bottle of wine, and I can't imagine that this would be like drinking a bottle of wine. So hey, yeah, it does look like wine, and somebody here on chat agrees with me. So I'm just going to crack this guy open. Like, this doesn't, the sealing, the way it's sealed, it's not all that interesting. I do have to say though, unlike the other two, the topper of this particular bottle of whiskey / bourbon whiskey has a cork topper, which again, if you've been here the entire time, cork makes me happy because it absorbs all the flavor that's been sitting in this bottle since it's been bottled, which, again, that tells you everything. It'll tell it, trust me. Do it once. Buy a nice bottle of something. If you're gonna spend, okay, I will recommend a bottle of bourbon that's easily one of my favorites. It is called 1792. It is around 50 bucks. It's not the crazy expensive bourbon that you're gonna find. It's nothing in the price range of $70 or $80, but if you find it, try it, and I believe it's got a cork topper in it. It is going to rock your world, so try that. I'm not even gonna try and get the rest of this plastic off because I can't. I'm struggling so hard to get it off, but I'm going to crack the paper seal on top with my nail, and I'm going to bust it open. Ooh, oh my god. Even the cork color looks red. Like, check that out. Check that out. It's wet, and you can tell that it's been sitting there probably for a while, but it almost looks red. Okay. Again, I'm not getting any strong smells. I think either my nose is still stuffed from being sick like a week ago, or, you know, I'm just losing my mind. Okay, water, and then we will sip. And I need to switch glasses. And, all right, clean glass. We're gonna pour some in here. Get a splash of Redwood Empire into the glass. Ooh, okay. All right. Okay. I feel like I'm definitely getting like a really nice wood smell. It's not punching me in the face, which again I appreciate. It's got a really nice smooth feeling to it. Alrighty. I am intrigued. This is not a super strong alcohol-y smell, and I feel like it's because it's got quite a bit of bourbon blended into this mix. It honestly smells really nice, so here goes nothing. Let's see if, you know, out of the three we get one winner. I really hope so. See, that's what it's supposed to taste like. That's what it's supposed to taste like. There you go. See, now these guys nailed it. Now, it's not punching me in the face, but I'm still going to put I'm going to put one ice cube in it just because I want to have a little bit more. This is definitely the winner of the night. Now, would I spend $70 regularly on a bottle of whiskey or bourbon? Probably not, but this is definitely the winner for this evening. I would hands down call the Redwood the winner of the night. It definitely smells and tastes lovely. It doesn't taste of that burning alcohol-y sensation that you get with a lot of other alcohols like we did with the Irish and the Kentucky. This definitely has a nice smooth taste going on to it. You're not seeing me cringing and burning, and my chest isn't burning as much as it did with Ireland, or with the Irish gentleman over here. Ooh, and that tastes even nicer with a little bit of ice. Oh, goddamn. See, it's bottles like this that are incredibly dangerous because it is so smooth and there's no burning side effect or after effect or any of that. It is smooth. It is nice on the tongue. It doesn't feel like every part of my mouth is burning uncomfortably. Ooh. 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 Yes. I am happy with this. Again, would I spend $70 on a regular basis for this guy? Probably not, but I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this bottle anytime soon, unless I have someone to share it with, which I will probably share some with the BF if we're going to be honest. But this is incredible. Okay, California, I misjudged you. You got it right. I'm impressed. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the website. We're going to see what Redwood has to say for itself. I'm shocked. I'm completely shocked, to be completely honest. We are shocked here at That Blonde Girls podcast. Alrighty, Redwood Empire American Whiskey. We already read that. Now what else does it say? The taste. The combination of 60% rye and 40% bourbon rested in port, wine, and American oak barrels produces an uncommon and dramatically unique whiskey profile. The color has a bright golden amber hue. Now, of course, that now makes sense as far as why it's red. If it's been sitting in port barrels, of course, that makes sense. A golden amber hue, pleasant aromas of a vanilla, caramel balance with rich, full flavors of almond, dark fruit, and toasted oak. Finish is silky and smooth. I highly agree with that, sir. You guys, I'm thoroughly impressed with California. I retract my snarky giggle and everything that I had said about the California reaction to the California. Honestly, this actually tastes incredibly smooth and really nice. Our methods, Redwood Empire's state-of-the-art distillery was built from the ground up on site of a former apple processing plant in rustic West Sonoma County. At the centerpiece is an innovative continuous micro column still, custom built per our specifications. Ooh, I'd be curious to see that. Our mash bill ingredients selection is a combination of rye, corn, and malted barley. So rye is a scale cereal. That's what it says, or I'm not reading it right. Adds a range of spice notes, which is hilarious because I'm not getting any of that. Include pepper, clove, nutmeg, cinnamon, which is not what what I'm not a fan of. But I'm not getting any of that. I'm not getting the serious spice. Bourbon signature ingredient, the flavor of corn, is very prevalent. Fresh off the still, over years of aging, corn becomes neutral and allows for barrel selection to ignite the flavor profile. And malted barley. Prized for malty and chocolate notes. Oh, that's why I like this. Prized for malty and chocolate notes along with some biscuit texture and dryness. Malted barley is the process of converting starches to sugar for the fermentation process. Aging. Whiskey is greatly influenced by the environment inside the barrel. Compounds in the wood, and especially where it has been charred on the interior or previously used to age wine and port. Over time, these factors make a significant impact on a whiskey's color and flavor. Redwood Empire American Whiskey offers a unique combination of barrel blends featuring up to 11 years in high char American oak casks and their heirloom port and wine barrels. Each barrel is tasted and evaluated by our head distiller before composing the final blend. And then they offer an old-fashioned recipe. Wow, you know what? And I do have to say, you know what? As much this reads wine, their website is incredibly informative. I guess it looks like they offer a gin and vodka, which I'd be curious to see. I'm not a big gin drinker, to be completely honest. If I have to choose something else, it would be vodka. I have tried to step into the gin world, but it's just not my thing. I will leave that to the boyfriend and my mom. I will leave them the gin and just leave me with this bottle, just this bottle. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with their website. I feel it's very intuitive. They give you a really good idea of the story and what you're getting in the bottle and how it's made. So definitely reads of wine, but definitely tastes of a high quality whiskey and bourbon blend. I am incredibly impressed. I definitely feel like this bottle of Redwood Empire saves the night. I'm not saying that the West Cork or the Old Forester are bad bottles. I just feel like the Old Forester definitely reminds me of a Jameson. It definitely feels like your cheap, easy to go, like drink until you black out kind of whiskey. It's not something, or bourbon in this case, it's not going to be something that like you really sit and sip and enjoy throughout the evening. It's something that you can just kind of pound down and have a messy night on. The West Cork, watered down a little bit with a splash of water and ice, I definitely feel could become a sipping whiskey, but it's not as smooth as the Redwood. I feel like I am a huge fan. Apparently I like spice because there is spice in this bottle, and apparently it sounds like there is probably spice lingering in more of my bottles of whiskey than I even knew. I'm not a huge fan of the spice aspect of it, but when it's smooth and it doesn't punch me in the face, I really appreciate that, because that means I can actually sit and have a couple of glasses of this and actually enjoy it and not feel like I am going to, like, everything is burning, like all the senses are on overload, and like I can't enjoy, like, when that sensation of burning is taking over, you can't really enjoy it. You can't. It's hard to get past. And I don't want to I don't like mixing good quality whiskeys and bourbons. I don't. And even the bad ones, I don't like mixing, because I just like to sit there and enjoy it with some ice. So the fact that I got, one bottle out of the 3, that was to be expected. I didn't think I would have a high winning rate this time around, honestly, because I kind of felt like there wasn't a whole lot to choose from tonight at the LCBO, which I was a little bit disappointed by, but honestly, this Redwood has definitely saved the evening. So if I were to recommend one out of the 3, I definitely would recommend the Redwood. Yes, it is much higher in price. There are better options out there. Or you know what? I'm not going to say better. There are just as good options for you out there to try before you, cash out, really put in all that extra cash and spend the $70 on this whiskey. There definitely are options for you before you spend this much. I would say, like I mentioned earlier, $17.92, it's about $50, so it's still pretty high. It's not as crazy, it's not as crazy as the $70, but even jumping a little lower to that, if I were to go to like a $30 price range, I mean, yeah, I would say really cheap and easy, like the one brand that everybody knows, Jameson. It still probably wouldn't be my first choice in the cheap market of whiskey and bourbon. I think now my go-to would probably be Bulleit. Bulleit is my easy go-to. It's now popped up. I found the tail end of last year, at the beginning of this year in Toronto, I feel like Bulleit came into the city and like made some sort of like marketing partnership with everybody, like all the restaurants and the bars, because I started seeing billboards and started seeing it on everybody's menu, like across the board within a matter of weeks. So I think Bulleit has kind of crept up into Toronto and is definitely making a splash. It's definitely worth the like $30 that it is. It's not crazy expensive. It's fairly reasonably priced, as I mentioned. And I think you're gonna get you're gonna get a unique flavor. You're gonna still get some interesting taste. It's not gonna punch you in the face, or it's not gonna feel like you're gonna get a lot of that burning going on, but you're not losing any sort of flavor just because it's $30. So I would recommend checking out Bulleit for your inexpensive crowd of whiskeys and bourbons. For the mid-range, again, I'd probably go $17.92, just because the bottle alone you would think is like a $200 bottle of something. It's like, I think it's like $50 or it's like $55. It's around that price range. So for that price alone, you're getting a great deal. The bottle is a great deal. It's a beautiful bottle. You could put it in a cabinet or you could put it somewhere in your room and it's going to look like an expensive bottle of something, but you're not going to spend $300 on it. So I would recommend, if you're looking for a mid-range price, that's the way to go. Expensive range, I mean, Redwood is now probably my first go-to of expensive range whiskey or bourbon. Outside of that, I don't, all my go-tos are mid-range. And actually, I am going to bring a special guest into the party just because it's sitting here on my desk, and has been since I found it in December. Now, I did mention in my first video reviewing my collection of bourbon and whiskeys that if I ever found Weller, I would get on camera and cry of pure joy and happiness because I finally have found a bottle. Now, probably after about a week of posting that video, I found my bottle of Weller. And the ironic thing is this is their special reserve. So I would think that this is actually even harder to find, but they have two versions. This is one of them. This is their special reserve, and then their regular reserve, like their regular bottle of Weller, is a red label. This I think was $37. The regular label stuff I think is $35, so it's not even that crazy of a price range as far as how expensive it is. This stuff is almost impossible to find. Impossible. The second it hits the shelves, it is gone. You can't find it anywhere. I walked in to one of my local LCBOs, shopping during the Christmas rush. I was shopping for Christmas presents all around, and all of a sudden, I walk into the section with my cart, and I'm looking around, looking at the case, because there's a special case in the whiskey and bourbon section. I look to the right where there's a couple of shelves where they don't have stuff locked up, and I glanced over it and kept looking down, and then all of a sudden my brain was like, wait, no, stop! And quickly snapped up, my eyes shot down to the bottles, and I about started crying because I could not believe that I had found bottles of Weller. I was completely shocked to the point where my face was showing the shock and hysterics, because I'm pretty sure the manager, or somebody who seemed like the manager, walked over to me and was like, are you okay? Like, can I help you? And I'm just like, I can't believe you have Weller. I can't believe I found it. I looks like a crazy person. And he's just like, yeah, we've had it. We just got it in. And I'm like, how many do you have? And he thought I probably was joking. I was not. And I told him I will take all of them. I did not, but he told me, he's like, I think at that point, I think they had like 38 bottles or something, which is nothing. Like 38 bottles of something is not that many bottles. But I remember seeing it, and I'm just like, I came this close to being like, I'll take them all, I don't even care. I did not. I took 3 off the shelf. I cracked one open the second I got home, and I shared it with my mom, which was special. And we had it throughout the Christmas, throughout Christmas. I still have that bottle. We have not finished it yet, which I'm grateful for. I have kept a second bottle for myself, which has been unopened, and it has been sitting on my desk since, because I just like staring at it. I think it's a beautiful bottle. I think the label is gorgeous. I am happy for my acquiring of this bottle. I know it's very difficult to find. And I gave the third bottle actually to my current boss. He has done so much for me that I felt that it was appropriate, and I wanted to share something special with him that I love dearly. I want to share that with him because he's been so kind to me. And he's an incredible boss, and I think he deserved it. Is it a dark green? No, it's not. It's like a dark amber color. It's just the label you're probably reading or seeing. Yeah, the label is a dark green. It's almost like a cream font. It's not gold, but it is a cream font. I will bring it up nice and close for all of you to check out. It is beautiful. And then the regular label, like the regular stuff, the regular Weller is a red label. It's the exact same label, but bright red. If you ever see this on the shelf for $35 to $37, I highly recommend you just buy 2 bottles. Don't ask questions, just buy 2. You'll save, trust me, you'll want to save one for later, either for a gift for somebody you really want to impress, or just save it for later. I guess anybody in the States would probably have an easier time finding it, because it is an American bourbon. It is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, or it's a bourbon whiskey. And 45% alcohol, 90 proof. This is easily my favorite. Actually, I have to say it's tied. This is tied. This was, for a good half of 2018, this was my favorite bottle of whiskey bourbon to drink. Then I tried 1792, and 1792 tied it. 1792 for $55 or $50 or however much it is, tied it, because I think for the price, it's fairly comparable. The taste is smooth. It's incredible. This is a taste that you're not going to find It's very hard to find. It's not super manufactured. It doesn't taste watered down. You get incredible notes in this whiskey bourbon. So if you can get your hands on it, get your hands on it, because it is bloody incredible. I'm so grateful and so happy I was able to find a bottle of Weller. I'm not gonna cry because I've gone over that moment. I'm still very happy that I've acquired it, and it's been sitting on my desk ever since. But I think Weller, if I ever got to get a chance to go to the actual place where it's distilled and go to the actual manufacturing plant or wherever it's made, I would be incredibly touched, because this whiskey bourbon definitely changed my perspective on whiskey and bourbon, and the two combined together as a whole. It definitely shook my world a little bit when I tried it for the first time, and it kind of sealed my mentality when it comes to these liquors, that the experience can be almost, if not identical to wine. It's definitely, the processes are just as detailed as something to make like a bottle of wine. People who make whiskey and people who make bourbon and people who make whiskey bourbons and like, what is it, Scotch whiskey or whiskey Scotch, those are people who care just as much as the people who make wine care. These people have put so much time and effort into these bottles, and I'm so glad that this industry did not die, because it almost went away and it almost died, if you guys even can believe that. And apparently somewhere in the late to, how do I explain this? In the early to mid 2000s, the whiskey and bourbon market almost completely died off. It was somebody, I heard this and I was told this at a whiskey tasting that I had gotten a chance to go to 2 years ago, and I had no idea. And there were some of the like most expensive bottles you can get today that were selling close to, like, were selling for next to nothing. So I think that for any of you who are looking to get away from the stereotypical vodkas and the cocktails and genuinely want to enjoy something that definitely has a little bit more of a kick to it, something that you can sit down and sip and like really enjoy, this is the route you should go. This is something that should be something for everybody. I don't think that whiskey and bourbon is just a man's drink. I still, to this day, get weird looks whenever I order it at bars and restaurants. I think most of the time it doesn't matter if it's a male waiter or server. It doesn't matter if it's a female male like server. I still get weird looks whenever I order, especially when I order it straight. Trust me, I don't drink it every single night. I don't have any sort of problems. This is the first time I've bought any sort of whiskey and bourbon in months, to be completely honest. I have it from time to time. I actually haven't been drinking it a lot recently, shockingly enough. I almost don't even want to admit it, but I've been drinking a lot of beer lately, which is weird for me to admit, to be completely honest. But it is what it is. Here it is. I think still to this day, my favorite go-to will forever be bourbon and whiskey. I think that, again, the Redwood Empire is a good find out of the lot of 3 that we found today. And yeah, that's about it. Honestly, for any of you ladies out there that may be intimidated with the idea of purchasing or getting into whiskey and bourbon, do not be intimidated. Find something that's mellow, find something that's not super alcohol-y, and even if it is or it isn't, the best way to order a drink, if you're concerned that it's going to be too strong for you, you can order it neat, which is just basically, they will bring it to you in a glass with just the amount of whiskey and bourbon or whatever you choose inside of it, and then ask for another glass filled with ice. Because then you can throw in however many ice cubes as you want. You can control it over time because they will obviously melt as well, which will dilute whatever is in your drink. And that will kind of slowly mellow out that burning sensation, and it will help kind of mellow it, so you're not going to be making that sour face the entire time you're sitting at the bar. But that's honestly how I started. I just started with just whiskey on the rocks, and eventually I started taking a couple of those rocks away, and I just started drinking it straight, or 1 or 2 there, in the glass for me. My happy balance is usually, now it's actually gone down to 2, but generally depending on how I'm feeling, I'll put 2 or 3. But that's how I would recommend anybody out there who's trying to get into this world of alcohol. just order a glass of ice on the side, or, you know, you can just order it on the rocks, because, again, I'm a little bit of a control freak when it comes to, excuse me, my alcohol. I like to put a couple of ice cubes. I like to control how much ice goes into it now at this point. But that's where I would start. It's not an impossible realm. You are more than welcome to join it. Trust me, it's not as scary as you think. Some, yes, will punch you in the face and it'll feel like everything's on fire, but it only lasts a second or two and you will only make a silly sour face for a minute or two. So I've got a question coming in here off live, which I think I will answer just before I shut everything off. What beer have I been drinking? Honestly, which I think is funny because I think it compares quite a bit to the strong flavors of bourbons and whiskeys. The beers that generally my go-to beer is Rickard's Red. It's a really dark red. It's a really strong flavor. It doesn't look like pee, which a lot of beer just looks like to me, and it looks and tastes like pee. It tastes of nothing, which is what I mean when I refer to pee. It tastes of nothing. It doesn't feel like there's anything special to it. It's not interesting in any what way. It's just kind of bland, and it's beer, and I've been drinking way too much of it lately just because I've been feeling the bloating effects of it, and I'm definitely going to stop drinking the beer because I'm just kind of over it as well. And now that I have a nice bottle of something, I'm going to be drinking more of this. But yeah, Rickard's Red is generally my go-to beer. If I'm at a beer kind of establishment and they have options, Fruity is usually another one of my options, which is just a fruity pink beer. It's super sugary, it's nice, it's easy to drink. Again, I'm not a beer person, so that's generally where my go-to kind of lays. Either super punch you in the face, Rickard's Red, or Fruity. Yeah. That's about it. So I hope that answered your question, sir or madam. But yeah, I think that's where this podcast is gonna end. I'm so happy that I finally got to do this. I'm glad. I'm glad that I got some winners. I got a winner and got some, you know, interesting party members. You know, you can always rely on the Irishmen to kick the party into gear. But surprisingly, California brought it in all nice and classy. So, the winner, again, of tonight is the Redwood Empire American whiskey from California. Who knew? I will, again, be posting all the information in the description box down below for any of you who want to check out any of these bottles. I will leave the links specifically to each one via the description box, either on YouTube. I will leave detailed photos of all the labels and of all the bottles on my Instagram account, so if you guys want to check them out there, have that at that as well. If you guys want to check me out on Instagram, my personal page is Carolyn_W3. My reviews page is Reviews by the Blonde, and then the podcast page is That Blonde Girls Podcast. So if you guys want to check me out there, if you want to reach out via the comment section or the DMs are not that reliable. I don't really check them all that often, to be completely honest, but if you want to give a comment in tonight's photos, leave some messages there. Otherwise, you can always leave a comment in the video on YouTube. And again, this video, for those of you who have been joining me live, I will have a better quality video up from via the other camera above and behind. That will be up tomorrow evening around 6 p.m. And the audio to this podcast will be available later on tonight, probably either around 10:30, as soon as I can get it up on iTunes and however quick they can get it up. So it may be as late as 11 p.m. So check it out tomorrow morning or later this evening. Or if it's morning for you, good morning. Welcome to the Alcohol Show. I'm glad for any of you who have joined me. I hope that any of you have been inspired to at least try something new. Don't be afraid. Trust me, it's not as scary of a world as you think. You don't have to drink ladies, screw the stereotypes. You don't have to drink Cosmos the rest of your life or night. It is not something that you have to drink. Trust me, they're not that great. There are much better options out there. Maybe we can do a wine version of this. I do honestly have my one wine that I go to. I actually went on a wine journey for many years when I was legal and started drinking alcohol. I went through the wine section of LCBO until I found the one bottle of wine that is my go-to go-to, and now it is my only go-to. Any other bottle I could care less about. So, I mean, we could try that. We could do a selection of wines. If you guys would like to see that, please let me know in the comment section down below. Hit me up on Instagram, let me know. I'm not too much of a fan of really trying gin, rum, or tequila. It is not my world. It is not something I enjoy. It almost doesn't even feel like it's worth the money, to be honest, because I just dislike it so much. Would I be opposed to it in the future? No. I mean, for you guys, if you're really interested in seeing or hearing about some brand out there or seeing what it tastes like or what my thoughts are, if you let me know, if this video gets enough likes, if the comments in the section down below on YouTube get enough likes, or here on Instagram, or, you know, if you guys hit me up next time on live, then maybe I will do it. But as of right now, it is not my go-to or my first choice. Beyond that, what other alcohols out there? I mean, there's sake, but I've only tried it maybe once or twice, and it was kind of like, nothing exciting. As always, I am always, forever, taking suggestions on new bottles or different kinds of brands. So if you guys have your favorites, please, 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 please let me know, because I would love to check them out. I'm happy to do the research for all of you and be the guinea pig of these lovely, lovely alcohols. This was fun. I really enjoyed it. I hope I gave you enough information. I hope my facial reactions weren't offensive to anybody out there. This was fun. I will do this again. I really enjoy. This is something, these are the luxuries in life. This is one of those few things that, you know, when I was shit broke, I couldn't afford. And when I started making money, it made me very, very happy to just buy a bottle of something really nice and be able to sit down and either enjoy it by myself or share it with, you know, friends or family. So this is, again, not something I do all the time, but this is something I'm happy to do once in a while, or once in a blue moon, or on special occasions when I find something super precious, I am down to buy a full case. But yeah, that's about it. So I hope you guys are having a lovely evening. Enjoy your drinks for all of you out there, or if it's a good morning. Good morning. Pour a little something special in your coffee. Ooh, actually that might not be a good idea. Not in the coffee, but put it in the coffee mug. A little less inconspicuous. Okay, this is gonna get me in trouble. Have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, and I will see you all next time.